don't know why I'm suddenly so emotional. If you read the title, you'll know what's in this box. This box has been on a journey, as have I. My relationship to clothing has changed pretty dramatically. I used to shop a lot more carelessly, without much consideration for what the clothing was made out of, where it came from, how sustainable it was, whether it would last long enough to make the price tag worth it. When we moved away from home a couple years back, we had very limited space to pack clothing and everything else. Living in the tropics, I packed a few nice things and then a lot of practical clothing. But we ended up having to move around a whole lot more than we anticipated, and on one of our first trips back to Perth to visit family, I took about 2/3 of the original clothes, which has left me with a very limited wardrobe. And aside from a few gifts from family and one pair of shorts that I bought to replace a pair that I had worn to death, I haven't bought clothing for about 2 years now. I've been re-wearing the things in my wardrobe, which is why most of the time in my videos you'll see me reappearing in the same clothes over and over again, usually t-shirt and shorts. My relationship to clothing changed predominantly due to limited space, limited funds, but also a growing awareness of the contribution of the fashion industry to the climate crisis. Yeah. I made the decision to shop a little more conscientiously, buying better quality, longer lasting products, as far as I can tell, sustainably produced. I want to shop smarter, not harder, and not adding to the environmental issues we're all facing. I want to build a wardrobe that lasts a really long time, that I love every piece in it, and that will never go out of fashion and complement each other really well. Enter Freddy My Love. Freddy My Love is a YouTube channel created by Freddy as a platform to share her love of fashion, her lifestyle, her home renovations, and more recently, her own brand, Flossy by Freddy. I found Freddy's channel a few years ago and I have been a dedicated subscriber since. I just love her outlook on life, her fashion sense, her love of the same musicals that I love. While it's not really possible for me to start curating the wardrobe of my dreams now, I can live vicariously through Freddy's. When she brought out her first Flossy by Freddy collection, the Overture, I so desperately wanted one of her dresses. But at the time of her debut, it really didn't seem like the best time to invest in my new wardrobe. But when she announced the restock, which was going to be a pre-order system where they would only make the dresses that people placed an order for, I just couldn't pass it up a second time. And well, here we are. But the story doesn't stop there, because at the time I placed my order, I was living in Broome, Western Australia, with a very imminent, potentially imminent move. I knew I had a few months before the dress would be shipped because it needed to be made, so I wasn't too stressed, and as soon as we knew we had to relocate interstate, I set up a mail redirection service so that as soon as my dress was shipped, it would be on the right track. Of course, that didn't happen, did it? Our mail redirection service was active from the 20th of October. My dress shipping notification came through on the 26th of October, so almost a week later that it departed the international shipping place. The Fae was on her way. It took a few weeks, but I eventually did get my notice that my dress had arrived in Sydney on the other side of Australia, which is very typical for an international order. But then I got the notice that my dress was in Perth, Western Australia, which was strange to me because Darwin is the capital of a state. It's a pretty large city, So I would have thought the redirection service would have sent it straight there, but I tried not to jump the gun and I trusted the process, but then the notification popped up that it was on its way to Broome. Still, I was waiting because it stayed in transit for a long time on the tracking app, so I was hoping that meant it was being intercepted and redirected to Darwin. About a week later, I got a message saying that it was ready for collection from, you guessed it, sunny Broome. So I called Australia Post and begged them not to send my dress back. For whatever reason, the mail redirection service didn't pick up my parcel, which I'm paying quite a bit for, I might add. But while I was on the phone to AusPost, it was then submitted for a transfer, conveniently while I was on the phone. Anyway, so I thought, great, super, it's on its way, it'll be here soon, woohoo! And then I checked the tracking app that was provided by Flossy by Freddy, and that said it was going to the International Shippers Return Service. And I freaked out. Of course, I didn't see this notice until it was the weekend, so I wasn't able to call Australia Post until the Monday, but again, trying not to be a crazy customer that just calls unnecessarily, I gave them a full business day on Monday for it to be updated, and when nothing was updated, I couldn't help it, and I called AusPost again and said, I'm so sorry to harass you. I'm not usually like this, but I really want my dress. The very nice lady on the other end of the phone told me it's okay, your dress is on track to the new address, but it would probably take another week. So from ordering my dress on the 30th of July, waiting for her to be cut, sewn and shipped from overseas, then travel almost a full lap around Australia, I finally have my hands on my precious, precious Flossy by Freddy dress. On the 5th of December, it's time to meet her. I don't think I've ever opened a box this gently before. Oh my gosh. Are you ready? Look. Oh my gosh. Okay. Have you ever seen something so beautiful? Flossy by Freddy. Oh, I'm so excited. I just hope it fits. I've never been more excited for a dress. Or for a box. Look at it. Look how beautiful this is. Okay, I think this beauty deserves a close-up. Can we just take a moment to appreciate the absolutely stunning presentation of this dress? From the gorgeous soft pink box, which seems to be a little bit washed out on camera, to the ribbon ties, the magnetic lid, and then just the dress itself and the tags attached to the dress, one of which has a beautiful little message from Freddy telling us all to be the leading ladies in our own lives. Growing up, we were raised to not be materialistic and to value all of our belongings, whether that was a toy, clothes, a device, everything. My sister and I grew up with hand-me-downs from cousins because we were the perfect age below them. And my sister had hand-me-downs from me as well. Plus, she had me giving her things and forgetting that I'd gifted them to her, and then when I saw her wearing them, I would say, "Isn't that mine?" And she'd be like, "No, you gave it to me." Adele, I apologize for my terrible memory. I promise it was never ever deliberate. Anyway, so whenever we did get something new, it was always really special to us. And something we loved to do as soon as we got home was try on everything new and do a little runway show for our mum. I did this right up until probably my mid-teens and even as an adult on occasion. So to cherish some nostalgia, I'm going to try on my beautiful new dress today in 12-year-old me fashion. So I've just tried on the Faye straight out of the box, so there are still quite a few crinkles, of course, to be expected when a dress is in transit for so long. There are just so many beautiful details in this dress, from the buttons on the sleeves to the pin tucking across the front, and of course the puffy shoulders. Now, I must be honest, as most of you would already know, I am on the shorter side being 5'1". And for the first time ever, I actually invested the time to look at a sizing guide. I took my measurements and I picked the dress that was recommended for my measurements. So I ended up buying a large, which I don't normally need to get a large, but it was in the sizing guide, so that's what I got. The dress fits great around the bust, the waist and the hips, but there are some very tiny spots where it doesn't quite fit, which is fair. Everyone's different, so of course that's no surprise that it wasn't going to be an absolute perfect fit for me. The sleeves are just ever so slightly down on my shoulders. Ideally where the puff starts should probably be, right on the tip of my shoulders, but it's here. And that's no fault of the sizing at Flossy by Freddy. That is me as a very short, busty woman. So that's not going to stop me from keeping and loving this dress, because I can always have it altered to fit me a little bit better across the chest here. It's just a little bit big around here. Everything else about the dress seems to fit really well. I love that the dress has a lining to make it less see-through and give it a bit more structure. The sleeves are nice and fitted to be very flattering on the wrist. The only other teeny tiny drawback about this dress is this fabric is a little bit scratchy. I've only noticed it on the arms, so the lining mustn't be made of the same material, it's just this outer fabric that is a little bit scratchy. But I have really sensitive skin, so that could just be me. I'm very glad I got the large, because it does give me a little bit of room to make any slight alterations that I need to make this fit my shape perfectly, to let me get the most wear out of this dress and keep it in my wardrobe forever. I was so sad because all the other girls were getting their dresses, and then the new collection started shipping and they were receiving their orders, and I still didn't have my first one. But they finally arrived and I am officially a Flossy girl. I won't be getting much wear out of my dress, unfortunately, while I'm living in the tropics. Being longer sleeved, made of a thicker fabric, and having a lining are all things that don't make it very suitable for a place that has humidity above 80% pretty much constantly. So I will be preserving this dress for when I do get to move to a nicer climate, but I'm sure I will be popping it on when I'm inside in the aircon every now and then, just to dance around and be a leading lady in my own little musical. If you like this style of dress or anything with a little bit of a vintage and preppy vibe to it, you should definitely check out Flossy by Freddy. And while you're at it, her YouTube channel, Freddy My Love. I can't wait to see what Freddy dreams up in her next collection, to see what else I could add to my new wardrobe. It was so much fun doing this little dress opening. Hopefully I can do some more of these in the future because it's such a huge part of what I grew up doing, so it's an awesome way to bring that back as an adult. Let me know if you would like to see more of these kinds of videos, but in the meantime, you know the drill. Like a video to feed the creator for a day, subscribe to support them forever. Until next time, stay flossy. That sounds dumb. I want to build a fressy dress. Yeah. Blech.